and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I'm Agam Vakil. Well, after a very quiet trading session yesterday, we are starting to see an ever so slight pickup with respect to the turnovers. Today, we've seen the benchmarks advance and by a good margin too. So the Nifty is up around 0.8% with a near 100-point up move for the Nifty in terms of points at around 12,282. We've seen gains in Tata Motors and Tata Steel, as you can see here. We've had good traction today in terms of some of the metal counters, and we will talk about that in just a bit. We're also looking at a lot of gains in some of your cement companies, of course, and of course on the losing end, you do have the likes of Eicher Motors, BPCL, Bajaj Auto and Cipla, but I reckon today is certainly a day that belongs to the advancers, and that is evident in the NSE 500 as well, where you have two gainers for one loser. Hindustan Copper again locked in an upper circuit of 20%. We have Suzlon Energy, which is up 18%, though it's a very lowly priced stock. CDSL, PNB Housing Finance and SAIL among others, which are advancing in trade with good momentum coming through. Dishman Carbogen, one of the usual suspects on the losing end, down another 10%. Emphasis has lost out around 3%. Do remember, there's been a lot of talk around the prospects of Emphasis, but it's not really showing up on the the price movements here. DCM, Shriram, Heritage Foods and Reliance Power among others, and of course Marico is the one which came out with a quarterly update, which is why it was under a tad bit of pressure today, down 2.5%. But on that note, let me get in our markets editor Neeraj Shah for his thoughts on the markets today. Neeraj, what have you made of today's move? Yeah,
it's a continuation of what we've been talking about the last few days, Agam, but confirmation of that, let me leave it that way, that the broader markets are starting to perform. It's very rare, at least in the last few days, I've seen very rare instances of the markets being up 1%, and the top 10 gainers don't have either Reliance or the HDFC twins or a Kotak Bank or a Bajaj Finance. That's happened today. They might be the top contributors, but they're not in the top 10. So they've had very muted moves, and the center stage is what's happening to the commodity names and some of the other names. So there's a slightly broader participation happening, and the broader in the spectrum is certainly happening, right? Because we've seen some of the shrimp companies, rating companies, etc., all doing well. The question is only, there are two questions. One, could this be the start of what everybody's talking about, which is 2020 be a year of the mid caps and the small caps? So that's part one. And could this be the start of what everybody's hoping for, which is a pre-budget rally? Now, both those questions, the answers to which will come in only in the next few days. And I think the earnings season, the way it shapes up, would be a key determinant of whether this can continue or not. But the going today is very strong, good volumes, good F&O activity as well on first day of the first options expiry too. So looks solid, but well, let's wait and watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Record close for the Nifty. What more do you need?
Absolutely, yes. We're waiting for that follow through. Should that come, certainly a positive. Neeraj, thanks for that perspective there. So, well, among the key highlights today, of course, while we are going to address several sectors, let's also talk about the auto sales, the second part at least. And once again, I do have Yash here with me, who's going to give us an update on all the auto sales that did come through, well, over last evening as well as today. Yash.
Right. So we have almost all of the companies now reporting their December auto sales numbers. I'll start first with Ashok Leyland, and there they have come in better than estimated. So although we've seen a 28% drop on a year-on-year basis, the actual sales for the month of December stood at almost 11,168 units, far higher than the estimate of a little over 10,300. Now this was mainly on account of the weakness in the truck sales, which were down almost 59%. However, the slew of orders from the state union, state transport divisions, they have aided their bus sales, which grew almost 49% on a year-on-year basis. LCV sales too continued to remain weak, down 1%, and this is on account of the overall slowdown in the economy and the lackluster construction activity, which is hurting Ashok Leyland. Bajaj Auto came out with disappointing numbers. Their sales were down 3% for the month of December, coming in at a little over 336,000 units versus an expectation of almost 362,000 units. Now this was again down to the weak sales in the domestic business, which was down 15%. However, there was some comfort coming in from the export side, which contributes almost 45% of their overall revenues, which were up 10%. Quickly talk about Royal Enfield as well. It was up. It was down 13% at almost 50,500 units. Again, lower than the expectation of 57,000 plus units, according to a BloombergQuint poll of 4 brokerages. This was mainly on account of weakness in both of its segments of motorcycles, having an engine capacity of higher than 350cc as well as less than 350cc. Exports too put further pressure as they were down 14%. But year. Very quickly, I want to talk about Hero MotoCorp as well. They reported their December sales right before we started the show, and there again we have seen weakness. They have reported a 6% drop in volumes, but it was largely in line with what the brokerages were expecting, about a 5% drop, and that was again down to the overall weakness in the domestic market, and their domestic sales too were down closer to around 7% on a year-on-year basis. But all in all, it was a mixed bag. Most of the companies, they have reported below expectation numbers, while some have surprised on the upside.
All right, Yash, thanks for getting us those updates on the auto sales. So mixed bag there. But let's bring back focus to a sector which is looking at a lot of news flow at this point in time, as well as a lot of coverage which has been initiated and reinitiated, and that is the metal sector. I'm going to get in Nikki Mirchandani to talk to us about the same. Nikki, what do you have for us?
Actually, the whole metal counter as a whole today was in traction, especially got to do with the steel stocks, where you saw a lot of gains coming in after the JP Morgan report, which suggested that there was a price hike which was undertaken in the month of December, Jan, and they also expect the price hike to follow through in Feb and March. Clearly looking like the trend is bullish for the sector. They also went on to say that now the sector overall could re-rate. There could be an earning upgrade coming in for the sector. On account of that, you saw some amount of traction for the metal, the steel names as such, where you had SAIL, JSPL, Tata Steel, JSW Steel also rallying in trade today. But on top of the list, we had Hindustan Copper with gains of around 20% given that the commodity copper prices are near that 5-6 year kind of high level. Also, Nalco, aluminium makers, they are pretty much on tear, given that there is a certain cess on coal, which the PMO office is proposed to waive off. If this happens, then it's going to be a great positive for companies like Nalco, which uses coal as the key raw material while manufacturing or in the smelting process of aluminium. Overall, net-net, if you look at how the trade has turned out to be for metal counters, it's been a positive day of trade for the pack as a whole.
All right, thanks, Nikki, for getting us those updates. So, those are some of those sectors which are buzzing in trade. We've seen a little bit of a pickup in the cash markets, and of course, the F&O turnovers were expected to be on the higher end, considering it was a weekly expiry. But we move into tomorrow, the final trading day of the first week of 2020. So we'll continue to get you updates. Until then, it's a wrap on the markets, but there's lots more lined up. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.